Hi, welcome back. I'm Amanda, your life coach with Illumination Unlimited, and I am here again with Brandon.
Hello.
And we are going to do another Q&A for you guys. So happy Friday.
Happy Friday to you.
Welcome back. And we decided to do like we did last week. We kind of took one of the questions that I got early on when I started doing TikTok videos, and I did just brief little clips of answers to the Q&As, and we decided to take some of those questions and dig a little bit further into depth with them. And so today's question is, how can a person stop the habit of always comparing themselves to others to the point that it consistently makes them feel inferior? Brandon, do you see that this is kind of a big issue of people comparing themselves to other people? Do you think that's something that?
Yeah, it is. It depends what kind of, if you want to say it's an issue, it's normal to compare yourself to people. That's okay. Um,
Right.
there's a few ways where it becomes an issue. You have
Mhm.
the person where they kind of use it. It's healthy. Like they see someone doing something that they wish they were doing better. And
Mhm.
instead of like being jealous of that person, they kind of look at it as something in their own life they can improve on, whether it be like their health, maybe their job. They're not
Right.
necessarily like they more have a competition with themselves. Like this
Yeah.
is something I can improve on with myself. There's the people that carry the comparing themselves to other people to an obnoxious level, the one
Mhm.
uppers or the size you
Oh,
up.
oh goodness,
Those
yes.
people like when
You
no
think they're
one no
better than
yeah,
me?
no one's asking you to compare
Yeah.
yourself to me. Like it's
Right.
like that's your
Stop.
and then
Yes,
they
please.
carry that to an obnoxious level. And there's the people that
Yeah.
I think they depress themselves with
Mhm.
comparing themselves to people where they're always, they're kind of, it just knocks their own self-worth down.
Right.
And rather than trying to improve on themselves where they feel like they're lacking, I think it just sends them into a
They
depression,
get into
makes them sad.
the Eeyore
Right.
mode of the I'm just not good
So yeah, it
enough.
depends what kind of comparing you're doing. We all do it. It's inherent to compare yourself to other humans.
Yeah.
You mentioned we did a warm up to this. Animals do it. It's just a very
Well,
mammalian thing to
it goes
do.
back to the caveman days as just an adaptive thing that your brain does. In order for you to know how to human, you have to look at other humans and see what they're doing. It's how babies learn to walk, is because
Right.
they're looking at the bigger people in their life that can walk. It's like, so in and of itself, you're right. It's not a bad thing.
No, it really isn't. Again, it can be
Wh-
depending how you
Sure.
gonna have how are you comparing yourself to people? What kind of comparer are you?
Right. Well, and I think the key word in the question that we got was inferior. Okay, so that's actually where it starts. It's not the, looking at other people and comparing themselves that is actually making the individual feel inferior. They're starting with a place of already feeling inferior. And then they're looking at the world around themselves and they're finding evidence.
Yeah.
And when you look at other people's picture perfect lives, nothing but evidence all around you.
All right. Because you're clearly looking for it, and it's
Hmm.
starting with yourself, and you're seeing the. I'm gonna start with social media. That's a big one.
Right.
Um,
And we touched on this
obviously,
before, but
this is I'd say this is the new way in the last 20, 15, 20 years or so. This is the way a lot of people are
hmm
comparing themselves to other people, and
yeah. And what do you typically find on social media, on people's social media pages, if you go
their
looking?
highlight reel.
Exactly. You find the picture perfect professional family pictures. You find the
The ski trip,
the
the
ski
the great
trips,
vacation to the beach. They're not talking
the
about how their
gym
kid just got
selfies.
suspended for the third time because they were using racial slurs on the playground.
Or
You know,
whatever the case may be. Yeah, I mean, yeah, there's definitely certain things that people don't want anybody to know about, that they're not going to be showcasing unless, like we had discussed before, some people tend to use social media as a replacement for much needed therapy, and
yes.
they overshare. Um,
Yeah, they're not really worried about the highlight. They're
mm,
sharing the bad, the good, the bad, the ugly.
yeah, like, all the bad stuff that happened in their marriage. You know that their husband forgot their anniversary or whatever the case may be, and
Well, that's one way of comparing yourself to people and make yourself feel better about yourself. It's kind of like
yeah.
watching Jerry Springer, but
Kind of, but that doesn't feel very good. Like, if you're sitting there like, I mean, who doesn't want to watch a train wreck? I guess it's a guilty thing for us. If somebody's got a big old mess going on in their life, then we tend to pay attention. But if you're like constantly seeking out stuff like that to compare yourself to make
to
yourself
make
feel
yourself, yeah,
better,
you still got
eh,
some inner reflection to be doing.
exactly.
And you got some inner work to do.
You do have some work to do for
There's
sure.
whatever was making you unhappy will still remain there just because you're seeing some shit
Mhm.
show in someone's social media life,
Right.
or that they're portraying on social media. It's not necessarily going to improve your situation. It's just in that little moment you're going to get a momentary high of feeling better about yourself. So
Right. And then you're gonna go and then you're gonna see somebody's, perfectly
yeah,
decorated house and you're gonna
when
look
you're
around.
back
You're
to
gonna look
square
around at
one,
your messy place and be like, oh man, I'm not good enough, or whatever the
I
case
need
may
more
be.
Jerry Springer lines.
Yeah. So the best place to start in answer to this question, because it's like, how do you stop comparing yourself? Well, you're not going to be able to
No,
stop yourself comparing yourself any more than you're able to get your brain to quit. Thinking about that song that you wish you could get out of your head. Like your brain kind of tends to do what it does. Again, I hate to keep using that. I don't hate. I keep using the M word, but meditation is a really great brain exercise just to get your mind to a place where it can slow down and stop looking for what all to compare yourself to. So there's one good tip.
no, for sure. It's a cleansing.
Another, it is. And then another would be to just get right with yourself in general. Like, of course, you're going to make your regular comparisons, but pay attention to, I guess, who you're comparing yourself to, right?
Hmm.
Um,
Well, how do you mean?
like, let's say if you're, like somebody's posting gym selfies and
Okay.
you're just like, feeling inferior, you're realizing you don't work out enough, blah, blah, blah. So obviously the focus needs to be on your health. You might not want to go to the gym. You might want to hula hoop, or you might want to go lift weights in your basement, or you might, run on the tread, whatever it is you want to do, but you put focus on what clearly
Is making you feel inferior
is
in that
make
moment.
yes.
So yeah, you see that person that's like completely got you lapped.
Mm-hmm.
We're using health and fitness in this one. So you see somebody that's completely got you lapped in your mind in that area
Mm-hmm.
and stuff. Okay, well then that's something you're not happy with yourself about, or you feel
Right.
unhealthy, you're just not feeling good. All right, take that comparison out of the way and just start
Mm-hmm.
working on that for yourself. Make little
Mm-hmm.
goals for yourself, and just don't get frustrated with how hard a
Mm-hmm.
workout is. Just
Right.
if that's something that you wanted to improve yourself, I guess start if you want to compare your new self with your old self and like just improvements
Yeah.
you're making in that. And then if you
Absolutely.
and that's a healthy way of comparing. So see who you were a week ago, a month ago, a year
And compare
ago.
yourself
Yeah.
to that. I've said that before. That's the only person I ever compare myself to anymore. That the only person that I am willing to compete with is former me.
And that's all that matters.
Um,
That's I mean it, and it's
yeah.
that's really the healthiest kind of comparing that you
Hmm.
can do is how if there's something you wanted to improve yourself with or on, you
Absolutely.
compare yourself with that. Again, however long you're in increments of a week, a month, a year, see how
Hmm.
you've gotten better.
Yeah.
And that's just a great way to compare yourself to
Exactly.
anything, not so much to another person. Use that healthy comparison.
But that's the best measurement of success is
All right.
comparing yourself to yourself. Now, that being said, now there's a whole nother level, like the master level, where and that's actually kind of a life hack. So if you start where you're at, you don't have to actually change anything about your life to not feel inferior.
Mhm.
Because and it's the truth of the matter is, and this isn't just me saying it, and this isn't you blowing smoke up your own, rear end in order to make yourself feel better. You are good enough exactly the way as you are now, even if you do bad stuff, even if you make mistakes, even if you're a jerk in traffic, where you're at right now, you are worthwhile and you are good enough. We are all a work in progress, and we could all improve our lives.
Mhm.
But you can realize that you're not inferior. It's not a matter of a feeling you're not inferior to anyone else, no matter where you're at the moment.
So you're
And it,
basically, I'm sorry.
oh no,
No,
go
you're just
ahead.
talking about altering your thinking
Yes.
and your approach to just how you
Mm-hmm.
view yourself and your
Mm-hmm.
place in this world. Start
Yeah.
there. Yeah. Of
Yeah.
course, there's things you can improve on, but if you just
Mm-hmm.
kind of start with liking yourself in spite of your flaws.
Yeah, you would be surprised how things would change. You'd be surprised how you would feel like being less of a jerk in traffic or whatever the case may be if you actually like yourself and you realize that even if you're not perfect, that you're worthwhile and that you're important and that no matter what anybody else is doing, you are good enough.
Right.
So like, yeah, that's ideally that's the place you want to get to. Some people, in this lifetime, they don't. So if you could at least get to a place where you're using it to better your life rather than
Again, being
drag you down
yes,
further.
well, and or again, being the obnoxious person that's always the one upper or whatever.
Uh,
That's what I first touched on. Or by
yes.
taking your place into a very
Mhm.
inferior self-loathing place. That's the
Mhm.
negative part of comparing
Yeah,
yourself.
and you're not ever going to be a happy person if you're
No.
doing those last two things. If you're being a jerk all the time because you feel inferior about yourself, or if you're just hating yourself and you're sad and depressed because you're not good enough, like obviously, like that's no way to live. Um,
So it's really, I mean, I guess what we're getting down to is it's about really fixing your own self,
mhm,
starting with you. If
mhm,
you want to make, you know, competitions or comparisons, do it with yourself. Keep it
mhm.
in a healthy way, but just, you know, make record of little improvements you're making. If
Yeah,
you know,
journal your
yeah, whatever.
progress.
I mean,
Mhm.
just, and again, that could be your greatest competition was with the person that you want to improve on.
Right.
So it's about
Absolutely.
handling your own business. Don't worry about what other
Mhm.
people are doing. Start with you. Yeah, there might have to be some soul searching you need to do, and
Right.
just some fixing some things within yourself. But I mean, that's the healthiest kind of competition. Never mind the social media.
I agree.
The other people's lives, just stop there.
Yeah, it's like, and if you need to step away from that for a bit, if you find like you just can't keep, but go down the rabbit hole and you're just obsessing over other people's pictures of their life and it's making you
Mhm.
feel bad, then just
Quit
stop
cold
doing
turkey.
that.
Let's just stop it.
Stop doing that and pick up a new hobby. And then I like me and my phrases or whatever, but keep your eyes in your own bowl, because
Hmm.
yeah, you're never going to fill your own bowl up if you're constantly looking into your neighbor's bowl and seeing, oh, no fair, seeing what they have. Like your bowl's going to sit empty while theirs continues to get fuller, and then you're just going to be watching theirs
I'm gonna
fill
ask you. I
up.
mean, okay, you're the life coach. Why do people not see that sooner, or if they ever see it? Okay, I'm not getting happier by doing. Is it like just sucking whole through a
Mhm.
cavity? I mean, they just,
It's
or
somewhat
the
as
insanity of it all. Like, obviously, I'm not getting any better with myself
right.
with this. I'm not feeling any better. Why do they keep doing it? Why don't they just shut off?
Well, the payoff for it's somewhat like they've slipped into victim mentality, and so somehow they
That's
found,
big in
and
society
and
right
and,
now.
and people do find comfort. Like it's, I mean, we do what we do for a reason, and so some people, they as weird as it sounds, like obviously being a victim makes you feel helpless. It doesn't make you feel good about yourself. You have all kinds of self-esteem issues, and you don't feel safe in the world. But some people actually get to a place where they're comfortable
Feeling that way,
in victim
so it's kind
status,
of a
and
morbid
then
comfort.
I know it's messed up, and then sometimes like that may be the way, that the only way that they can feel they get attention. If they want to be noticed, they want to be cared about, they want people to whatever, they feel like they're going to get the attention from the world that they want to get with victim status. And then so when they kind of just get into that comfortable place with that, and then that helps, I guess, further maintain their victimhood if they are in a place where like everybody else just has better opportunities than me. It's not fair. I can't do any better. It's also
So there, I mean,
not to be harsh about it. It's a little bit of a cop out, because then they feel like it. Oh, what's the word I'm looking for? But
there's a reason. So basically, they see it. There's a reason I'm not getting what I want to in life because
mhm.
I'm the victim. I'm not. Things were
Right.
stacked against me. I never stood a
Mhm.
chance.
It's a built-in excuse.
Oh yeah,
Like,
clearly.
and it's like maybe because they're afraid to try. Maybe they're afraid of failure. Well, guess what? Like, what?
No, that's life. I
The
mean,
most brave people in the world are ones that show up ready to fail, and then they do fail
they
sometimes,
learn
plenty
from
of
it, and they
times,
they fail
and
again.
then they
And
get
they keep
back.
failing, and they just keep
Absolutely,
at it.
yeah. Like the most successful people are very successful failures first before that success finally hits. So
Well, that's
but
a
it's a kind of a built-in excuse for someone to stay where they're at, because for whatever reason that's where they're comfortable, and so they have, well, see, it's not fair, if I had what this person had, I'd be able to do that, etc.
so people. I mean, do they just? Well, again, it kind of goes back to my original question of like, okay, they know the thing that's making them not happy, the comparing themselves,
Hmm.
especially on social media, rather than just quitting cold turkey and breaking away.
Hmm.
That's the reason they do it. It's kind of what you're saying.
Yeah, and
They
it's
kind of
probably
they're
on a
that's
subconscious level. Like honestly, they probably aren't, like they're not logically thinking, I want to be a victim, I want to compare other people to myself. It's just if anything, it's almost a little bit like an addiction,
right,
I bet.
probably. And you said, well, yeah, you said
Mhm.
there's some comfort in that, even though
As
they're
weird.
necessarily not happy.
Yes,
they lack some joy with themselves.
right.
There is a weird kind of morbid comfort
There is
to
a
it. Yeah.
strange comfort to that. Yes.
No,
So,
I buy that because you wonder like, okay, if nothing's getting better with yourself and you keep
mhm,
I mean, you keep sucking hole through the cavity, you keep going to the
mhm,
thing that makes you unhappy. It's like,
touching the
why do
bruise.
you keep doing it?
Yeah, well, the point isn't like so in those instances, and these people probably don't even realize, like on a surface level, they probably don't even realize why they're
Yeah.
doing it. Exactly what they're doing, the repercussions of the way that they're doing things. It's just kind of the normal way for them to be in the world, and it's just kind of what they do. And their goal isn't necessarily to get happy, or maybe they think they don't deserve to be happy. They're already feeling inferior, so they're probably feeling like less of a person. So they just kind of tend to keep doing whatever behaviors keep them in that place.
I mean,
Um,
as like I said, there's a whole array of psychological
oh
issues with
sure.
people. We're not. I mean, that's not. We're not here to, especially not on this little session, to
Oh
diagnose
yeah, no,
people. But
yeah, that's
yeah, I
not.
mean, yeah, the reasons why people do things are still ones I'm trying to figure out.
Yeah,
And
that's
you're
been
never
kind of
gonna.
oh no,
No.
you figure a lot out. You sit back and observe people long enough, and yeah, you can kind of figure some stuff out. And then there's always exceptions to every rule. But so the bottom line, to recap, is how does a person stop comparing themselves to other people? They can't.
You're not.
You're not going to be able to. That voice that does it is going to get less and less. It's going to get quieter and quieter the more that you focus on yourself and your own personal well-being and focusing on your own goals and keeping your eyes on your own goal.
Exactly.
Then the and
But
like
I was
yeah.
gonna say, it could
Oh,
start.
no.
If it could start with comparing yourself to somebody. So, and then like, you kind of touched on like there's something that they're doing that you wish you could do too.
Mhm,
You know, like just something I like. It's more of an appreciation or an
mhm.
admiration for what they're doing. Like
Right.
I want to
Mhm.
incorporate that into my life,
Yeah, when you get to a healed place, that's what you do as opposed to.
and then from that point on, you kind of worry about your own self and little
Mhm.
improvements you're making
Right.
with regards to whatever that area is.
And
So,
then you
and
don't
that's a
gauge your
healthy way of doing it.
absolutely. And then you don't gauge your success on the like once you see somebody's in the gym and you start going to the gym, you don't keep going back and looking at their progress to gauge your progress. Then that's when you start focusing on yourself. So
Exactly.
like that's really the place that you want to be. And again, you literally don't have to do anything to change yourself to realize that you're not inferior. It is just coming to that understanding is loving yourself first. Love yourself the way you wouldn't not love your child because they weren't perfect. You would not love another parent or a family member because they weren't perfect. You love them unconditionally, and you definitely need to give yourself that kind of love first
All right.
and start there and give yourself even when you're competing against yourself, being kind to yourself is so imperative. Beating yourself up
Yeah, and you're gonna be frustrated with
isn't.
part.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, we're talking.
Uh-huh.
We were using fitness as the example. It could be
Hmm.
anything. You might be frustrated in the development of whatever you're trying to improve on. That's normal, but don't beat yourself up on it.
Exactly.
You know, just breathe through it. You know, keep trying to get better at it, and I don't know, those cards will fall where they should.
Absolutely. And then one day, like we really wanted to just, hopefully all different kinds of people will watch our videos. But you had mentioned earlier, and I thought that this is an important topic to focus on directly. But when we talk about the people that are most affected by comparison, like what group of individuals are you noticing
I think I
more?
mean, again, it's all over the new. I think, I mean, it's pretty. I would say obvious.
Mhm.
I think most people that would watch would agree. It's teenagers, young
Yeah,
people.
yeah,
I mean, you're at your formidable years of just developing. I mean, you're just naturally more inclined to compare. That's how you find your place. You're
exactly.
developing, physically, mentally. You're just trying to find your place in the world. So you are going to look at other kids, and unfortunately, that's what sucks about that time
Mhm.
of your life. Kids are little bastards, and they're mean.
Oh, I know, and they don't really like look at other kids as human beings like themselves, so that like
They're not as nurturing to the other, to others around them
yeah,
as you
their
would hope.
empathy hasn't developed, and then there's some that have literally none because they aren't taught it. Like when we were young, we went to school and we had to sit there in class and look around at all the other kids that I know for myself there were plenty of others that had better clothes, better hair, blah
Yeah.
blah blah. Um, But could you imagine now you go to school and all day long, you're comparing yourself and they compare you to them as well. Like, so
Right.
even if you're not trying to compare yourself to others, they make sure that you do.
Uh-huh. And they're gonna let you know where you're falling short and where you
Oh
suck
yes. Oh
in
yes,
their
they
eyes.
will. But then yeah, you go home and then you get on a
You plug
computer.
in, and
Mm-hmm.
guess what? It's not over.
And boom, yeah, all the way till bedtime. You get
And
it's
and I mean, I just this past week or two, I've seen it came from the CDC. Take with that what you want, but I mean, they're saying that I mean, there's like the depression levels, particularly among young girls.
mhm.
Teenage women. I'm assuming they're talking about is that just it's at dangerous levels right now,
um
levels they've never seen before, and I think you can attribute that to social media
mhm.
and that I mean the bullying, the comparison. When we're talking,
Oh
if we're talking
yeah,
about comparison or
exactly.
comparisons and comparing yourself to people, that's a big part of it with social
Mhm.
media. You're looking at other girls' lives, or I'm speaking for a boy. I'm sure they do the same thing. They're
Oh
constantly. That's
sure.
all. It's one giant comparing pool is what social media is, and it's
Right.
probably worse for kids. Again, you're comparing yourself
Oh my
anyway
goodness, yeah.
inherently because you're young and that's what you want to do. Is what you That's where you're trying to find your place. So I'm just so glad we sidestepped that. We Van Dyke that one. Dick Van Dyke that one. I'm glad we didn't have
Oh
that. I'm glad
goodness.
that was I'm 39. And so that certainly wasn't, I mean, it was when I was in college. It was starting to become a thing, but I'm just so glad that wasn't around when I was a kid.
Yeah, yeah, you're not kidding. Because yeah, as a I was like, I had a lower class family and bad hair and bad clothes, and I was so socially awkward. It was painful, and I didn't have. I couldn't imagine. And then kids were jerks at school, as they will be. They'll definitely pick on the one that is the easiest to pick on.
All right.
If I had gone home and everybody and got online and then got even. I see why they do it. If you have the ability to do it, because it like
It's again, we're kind of going back to that person that like, why don't you just
I
cut
know,
off? You
especially
can't.
kids are like addicted to social media though, like their like, internet and all that video games. Like they almost feel like they can't go without it. It's become their.
Even if it's like the source of their unhappiness
I
or of
know.
their bullying or their
Mhm.
self-loathing. Yeah, it's just for whatever reason they keep going to it. I mean,
Right. And so what I would say, like again, that's starting with like for any young people out there in the world, not necessarily even just teenagers, but as anybody in general like that. Like you need to bypass everything and start with the step where you realize that you're not inferior no matter what. People are different. We're supposed to be different. We're not supposed to be like everybody else. And I don't even know who you are, but I know that you have good redeeming qualities and a lot of really good things about you. And a lot of you are so much better than you'll ever realize because you're seeing yourself through the lens of self criticism. So you have to stop there and you have to stop giving other people the power over you to make you feel any way about yourself. You need to realize that you are worthy and that you are important and that you do matter.
and that's
And I'm
perfect.
gonna
No,
let
I'm just saying
as,
that's
as
perfectly said, and it sounds like it's easier said than done, and I'm sure it is because you can kind of try to take on that strategy, and crap kids will make that hard for you.
right, and
But
that's why you
it's
have
a
to shut out
circumventing
what they're
around that.
saying. You
It
have to understand they are unevolved human beings. They don't know what they're saying. They are speaking through hormones.
That's a big part of it.
Oh yeah, they
Uh,
don't.
their own shitty parenting.
Yeah, whatever
Because
their
bad
own
parent, I'm
pain.
convinced. The more for the more often than not, there's exceptions. I think
Hmm.
bad parents
Big
breed
time.
bad kids.
Oh
That's the
yeah.
reason bullying still like you
Hmm.
see them at youth sports. They're around. That's
I
why
know.
that's what drives the cycle. And it's never going to stop because they're still
Hmm.
around. You think
Exactly.
we've evolved as a human race, and I mean, well, no, you just
No.
go to any event with parents, and no, we have it.
Yeah, or if you look on it, just look in the comment section of any post on social media. It could be a post about puppies, and there's some ugly, nasty person's going to have to say something terrible to somebody on there. That's just it's the world we live in, and I don't mean that in a depressive way. That just mean but keep in mind there are as many wonderful, amazing, kind, good people in the world as there are terrible, shitty, nasty human
And I
beings.
think and
So,
I actually do think, I mean, they seem to be the loudest,
well, yeah, the nasty
and
people
I
are the
think that
loudest.
obviously I think there's more good people, but
Hmm.
there's a reason there's still bullies and mean kids. And no, I mean, I think kids can be mean without the
Hmm.
help of their parents, but um, I think better parents can get through to those kids, and they can
Exactly.
stop
And
doing it.
it shows exactly. But so, and I just want to say, you can survive bullying, and you can survive it feeling very good about yourself, and you can survive it living a very good and happy life. And really, like, that's the best revenge. If you're, sitting around, thinking that I want to get back. And that's why sometimes people hurt themselves, because they want to get back at the world. You don't get back at the world by hurting yourself. You get back at the people that are terrible to you by living the best life you possibly can.
The best revenge is
Mhm.
living well.
Exactly. And then getting to that place where it's not even about revenge. You forgive them, you wish them well, you wish them healing, because it must really suck to be them, but it's not about you.
Right on.
So yeah, as far as teenagers, like they have to stop immediately comparing themselves to other people. It's imperative. But you all are important. We need you. Yeah, stick around and do some good stuff in the world. Heal yourself, and then you can help other people.
Very good.
Yes. So I think that kind of covers everything for
25
today.
minutes in. I
So
think, I
holy
think,
cow,
I
we're
think we
good.
touched on some things.
I think we're good to go. So thanks so much for tuning in. We'll be back next Friday, and until then, have a great rest of your week.
See ya.